It's the second and last day of the Patissier World Tournament, and they are coming to the grand finale. The final round is Candy Sculpture. He will be named the world's greatest patissier for sure. The male lead feels it's like a land of sweets. He is going to win this and achieve the dream he has had since he was a child. They are moving their finished pieces to the judging area now. However, an incident happened. His cake fell and pressed on him, causing him to get injured and lose a lot of blood. While dying, he remembers his dream. He wanted to create the world's greatest sweets before he dies and bring smiles to the faces of everyone in the world. Suddenly, the voice of a goddess appears and says that he will be given another chance in another world. He heard that when his father, Casserole Melmortal, first became its suzerain lord, it was a barren land that could barely grow wheat. His father worked hard beside those who moved there with him and those already living there. Together, they spent almost 20 years on the soil. Pass is 9 years old and is practicing swords with his father. Although he was practicing swordsmanship, his mind was always thinking about making sweets, so he was defeated. Head retainer Fuel came to find Lord Casserole with bad and good news. The good news is that it's looking like the bean fields will yield a significant harvest. It all worked out, as Pass said. They will have a bumper bean crop this year. His father is also familiar with his strange actions. Fuel goes on to say the bad news. If bandits come here, they will ravage their fields, both the beans they worked so hard for and the precious wheat. The bandits will likely arrive in 2 months' time. Fuel suggests to Lord Casserole that if a talented child like Pass could activate magic, he might be the scapegoat for the land. In this world, everyone would go through the sanctification ceremony to be able to activate their magic when they reach the age of 14. Casserole tells his wife Agnes and his daughter Josephine that he is going to put Pass through the sanctification ceremony. Casserole explains that even though Pass was only 9 years old, his swordsmanship and knowledge were comparable to those of an adult. His mother and sister immediately change their minds and agree to Pass to have the sanctification ceremony. 3 days later, Pass and his father are preparing to leave the village. He then starts chanting and casting teleportation magic. Pass feels very excited because there are many things in the capital that he has never seen before. That is brown sugar and fruits. He is thinking about making brown sugar cookies. His father says if he can make it through the sanctification ceremony, he will buy him whatever he likes. Pass sees the apples and they look so delicious. He is so glad they exist in this world, too. His father says that those are bonkas. Pass says that he would like to try growing bonkas and begs his father to bring some back with him. His father is surprised and assumes that Pass was trying to develop his land. He is developing the instincts of a true suzerain. Then they arrive at the church and are greeted by Father. Casserole says that thanks only to the protection of God and the spirits and his son's wisdom, as well, he would like his son to undergo his sanctification ceremony today. Fuel says that they will lock Pass in a dark room and give him some kind of holy water. He is left alone in the dark, unable to see or hear anything for hours and hours. Surely, it's taking too long. He hears his father's voice and wakes up. The ceremony is successful. Then Father brought a scripture. While Father is reading out the text in the scripture, Pass feels magical powers surrounding him, surprising his father. The church appreciates his most generous donation. Pass is contemplating choosing 2 apples. Casserole urges him to make a quick decision. Meanwhile, Father checked the bag and found only silver coins inside. This won't be enough to keep his mouth shut. At the knight's field of Liptaver, the bandits are stealing food and killing the entire village. Meanwhile, Casserole is directing the villagers to build the walls. The bandits will arrive sooner than expected. Casserole evaluated the situation and acted quickly. They would temporarily seal up the 2 smaller villages. He ordered their wells filled in, and their fields and homesteads stripped. However, Pass noticed that they were short on forces. Mark and Lumi come and say they want to help too. Pass asks them to gather up rocks. If they hear any distant sounds or see anything out of the ordinary, get themselves inside the walls before checking any further. In the afternoon, Mark and Lumi are gathering rocks. Mark suddenly hears noises in the distance. The bandits are approaching the village. The 2 children immediately run back to report to everyone. They immediately close the gate. The Lord comes and calms everyone. If the bandits make it in here, they will kill their people, steal their food, and burn their houses down. The Lord refuses to let that happen. The villagers were so hesitant, but the Lord filled them with courage. The night will come soon. That's when the bandits will strike. Fuel fears that the bandits won't attack this evening because they are unfamiliar with the terrain in this area. However, Casserole thinks they are running low on food and provisions. They will want to strike as soon as possible. Pass thinks there is too much they don't know. He thinks they need to learn, in detail, the extent of the enemy's supplies and forces. Casserole agrees with Pass's opinion. He and Fuel will go scout the enemy's forces. He instructs Pass in charge while he is gone. He asks Mark to pass a message to Pointreau at the Western Canal. We'll use flaming arrows to signal the enemy's arrival. And Lumi, tell Glaceage to start preparing the flaming arrows. Pass orders the women to go inside, and all the men gather here. Casserole and Fuel are approaching the bandits' position. Fuel uses his magic eye to observe them. They have got 5 horses and have about 60 people. Casserole and Fuel rush to the bandits to get their attention. After injuring several bandits, they quickly ran away. The bandits get angry and chase after them. Black Age is concentrating on listening to the sounds in the wind. He has noticed Casserole and Fuel retreating. He fires a flaming arrow in the direction of the sound and at the same time signals to everyone that bandits are coming. Casserole and Fuel see the flaming arrow and guess that Pass wants to do it to guide them here. A soldier arrives to announce that the bandits are chasing Casserole and Fuel. They are heading around the west side. Pass orders the children them to throw flaming stones at the bandits, causing them to fall off their horses. Mark never thought playing with slingshots would come in handy like this. Casserole asks Fuel to keep moving instead of pausing to compliment Pass. The leader can block all the stones and jump to the wall. The villagers couldn't stop a former knight like him. He rushes to kill 2 villagers, and his men also follow him inside. Black Age will be his rival. Casserole is fighting the bandits outside. The children continue to throw stones at them. The angry leader rushes to them but is stopped by Pass. He grabs Pass to threaten them. Pass sees a wounded bandit and thinks he can use him. Pass uses replica magic to make the bandits bear the pain that the man suffered. Pass merely replicated the leader's comrade's wound. Mark throws a rock at the leader, knocking him unconscious. Fuel is tying up the bandits and planning to ship them off to the County of Rights. Then there was the reward for the warriors who defended the village. Casserole awards him 1 spear and 1 silver coin. Next, Marcarello Luminito. They both served well as Pass's assistants. Lumi's grandfather hugs her tightly to think she'd be aiding the Lord and his son at such a young age. It's time to celebrate their victory. Neighbors brought food and drinks. Now, at last, Pass can focus on making sweets. Lumi is looking at her first sword, and Mark wants to know what they would do with the bandits. He asks Lumi to check it out as a future retainer to the lord of this land. However, the guards did not let them inside. Mark devises a plan. He uses the stones to attract the attention of the guards. Taking this opportunity, they sneak. The leader of the bandits says that the sword on Mark's hip belonged to him before. Once they turn him in, he will die for sure. Before he dies, I'd like to teach him how to really use his sword. Mark is excited because he thinks he can be as strong as Pass. Lumi advises him not to listen to that jerk. It's pretty dangerous, so he doesn't want to let his friend. As soon as Mark approaches, he kicks Mark and picks up the sword to attack Lumi. The 2 guards return to find the leader using Mark as a hostage. Lumi is injured, and Pass comes and asks them to stop the bleeding first. He tells them to take care of Lumi while he chases after the bandit. He will go with Cointreau to find Mark, and Casserole will reassure everyone here. The bandit is on the run when he falls into Pass's trap. The bandit laughs and despises the strength of a child like Mark. Mark recalls the words his father taught him. Don't let go of it, even if your hands are ripped to shreds. The bandit rushes to attack and breaks Pass's sword. Just as he is about to end Pass, the scene changes. Fuel can't find Pass despite using the magic eye. They could only follow in the footsteps of the horses and find Pass's broken sword. He returns and finds Pass here. Casserole says that he returned here with Mark not long ago. Fuel couldn't believe that Pass had returned before him. However, the 2 disagree and ask him to explain everything now. Pass says he replicated father's teleportation magic onto himself earlier and used that. His magic lets him replicate a copy of anything onto anything else, as long as it's countable, and he's seen or interfaced with the original. The use of magic on the battlefield is extremely dangerous. He is about to pay her a visit and asks Mark to go with him. If he listened to Lumi and just ignored that bandit, she never would have been hurt. Mark musters up the courage to say sorry to Lumi. Lumi isn't mad at him and is happy for him to visit her. They smell the scent of something. Pass brought in a bonka. It is a get-well-soon gift for Lumi and cheer Mark up. Her wound doesn't even hurt anymore. Lumi's father enters with an extremely indignant look on his face. You've wounded my precious daughter, haven't you? He said Mark has to make up for it by marrying his Lumi someday. This little tomboy of his ain't going to land a man on her own. Lumi sends her father a piece of cake. Sweets really do bring smiles to people's faces, but Pass is just getting started. Because they let the leader escape, they didn't get any money. Recovery after the bandit raid has proved challenging. The burden of reopening the 2 sealed villages has proved a heavy one. Letting the bandit leader escape hasn't helped matters. They'd have secured at least 200 gold coins for his head. They can't borrow the money. Pass asks, can't you and mother ask your parents for help? Casserole says he and Agnes both cut ties with their parents a long time ago. The children are also discussing the fact that the village is in a difficult situation because there is no money. Lumi suggests Pass to make lots of bonkas to sell in other cities, but Pass says he just made it for fun. In order to produce enough to make a profit, they need a way to bring in a lot of bonkas. He tells them to draw any picture they like in the dirt. He copies the drawings onto the skin of their hands. After about 3 days, the draws will disappear. Lumi asks Pass, instead of copying drawings onto something, could you copy something else as a drawing? If you could put a picture of a house or someone's face on the ground, I think that it'd be pretty cool. Pass comes up with a way to make money thanks to Lumi's idea. He thanks her and immediately runs home. Pass bursts into the room and says he's got a great way to make money. Pass remembers that Casserole told him about his attempts to arrange a marriage for Josie. Since Casserole has the teleportation spell, he could take her all around to introduce her. However, those who cannot use the teleportation spell will spend a lot of time and money introducing their children. He used magic to copy his mother's figure onto a wooden board, surprising everyone. Pass calls them matchmaking photos. They can use this to make money from the nobles. They could fetch 5 or 10 gold coins for a picture this detailed. It's still cheaper than a proper portrait, and because it's magic, they don't have to charge for materials. Plenty of parents would pay out the nose to introduce their child with a picture. Over 50 villages lie within its borders, with 4 main villages. They're all linked by roads to the local capital, which is one of the largest domains in the south. Casserole and Pass have come seeking a meeting with Count Ladesh. Casserole and Pass enter the living room and begin to negotiate. Pass is very excited when he sees the cookies here. Tea is one of her household businesses. The teas of the Ritesh are well known even in the royal capital. He ate it and felt something strange. Ladesh wonders why Pass had a strange expression when eating sweets instead of joy. Ladesh heard Casserole excel not only in combat, but also skillful in governing the barren land to yield bountiful harvests. Casserole supposes that it does seem unbelievable for a child not yet 10 years old to oversee the cultivation of a wasteland. Ladesh says that Pass must be proud to have such a fine man for a father. Pass is glad she's finally talking to him. Pass continues to delve into the main topic. Our household could truly learn from your example, and when we interrogated the bandits we captured, they admitted they'd come out of Reichvale. She plans to plead ignorance. Pass says, if you doubt my words, we're prepared to turn a few bandits over to you. Ladesh asks, do you have any proof that the bandits we eradicated and the ones you captured are the same set of bandits? Casserole takes out a sword. One of the bandits was carrying it. It carries the family crest of the Ritesh family. This means the Ritesh family's attempt failed, and as a result, the bandits went to Casserole's territory. Pass has no intention of causing trouble over this incident. However, compensation for the trouble would be greatly appreciated. Ladesh proposes 100 gold coins for compensation. Pass asks Ladesh to grace them with more of her kindness for their plight. Ladesh gets angry and suggests 150 gold coins. Pass accepts and consults his father. Ladesh feels this child is exceptional. She has a question. You seemed rather displeased by the tea we served earlier. Was there a problem with it? Pass says the tea was excellent, but I thought the accompaniments were overly sweet.